It's terrible the world's come to this. I feel sorry for you.
Introduction of Lockwood & Company series Teen Spirit Hunters. The Lockwood & Company series is one of the most prominent new Netflix series with a detective and scary genre, which is often called Teenage Ghostbusters.
A generation.
Agents required for unusual supernatural investigation.
Name?
Lucy Carla.
In 2017, the Lockwood & Company serial production project, Lockwood & Associates, started but remained in the early stages. It passed until the middle of 2020, when it became clear that the streaming service Netflix intends to make and advance this series with the presence of Joe Cornish as director and executive producer. By early 2022, no actors had been hired for this series and everything started with the three main actors, namely Ruby Stokes, Cameron Chapman and Ali Haji Hashmati. The filming process started immediately and ended very soon.
I'm Anthony Lockwood. This is George. Welcome to Lockwood Co. How about we find ourselves a ghost?
This series is based on the book series by Jonathan Stroud that was published with the same name. The first season of the Lockwood & Partners series, which has 8 episodes, is based on 2 parts of this book series, The Screaming Staircase and The Whispering Skull. The critics who watched this series recorded good and positive scores for it. Many viewers compared this series to the story and atmosphere of the Harry Potter movie series. Although the nature of the characters' abilities are different and the quality of this series is not as strong as Harry Potter's, they have similarities.
Don't move.
The story of this series revolves more than anything else around a character named Lucy Carlisle, whose abilities have made her a listener, one who can sense the presence and emotional state of spirits. By using this practical ability, he can protect the living in battles and warn of upcoming events. He, who was studying in one of the big and famous schools and had nothing left until his graduation, is thrown out of the school because of a tragic incident in one of his exercises. For this reason, he decides to go to London.
Run!
I don't enjoy meeting agents who burn homes to the ground.
The hand of fate brings Lucy to Lockwood & Partners, an independent ghost hunting agency run by the ambitious and reckless Anthony Lockwood, as well as his deputy George, who has a knack for research and new information. Throughout the first season of the series Lockwood & Partners, the members of this team try hard to gain credibility and fame in competition with other prominent agencies, but in this way they can get good cases. Years ago, something called trouble occurs all over the world, which no one knows the cause of, the incident that caused the dead to have very little and subtle connection with the world of the living.
Pay up or get shut down.
London will be a lot safer with 3 less amateurs.
By watching this series as well as reading Stroud's books, one can fully understand the influence of very popular adult literature, especially Harry Potter novels, despite the attractive relationship between the 3 teenage heroes in the story. Even the way of speaking, the tone of voice and the nature of Lucy's character completely reminds the audience of Hermione Granger, and it is impossible not to be reminded of Hermione's character when you hear her voice. It's true that Lockwood doesn't have the imagination to tell the stories of the Harry Potter novels or movies in full, but again, it cannot be said that this collection is not attractive and spectacular in itself.
Around?
The big agencies pretend they've got things under control.
So
Talented actors, interesting story, appropriate pace in the story and other elements that are present in the series of Lockwood & Partners, can very well turn it into a spectacular series. A very interesting thing about this series that sets it apart from Harry Potter and similar works is that the adults cannot see or hear the ghosts that are killing or tormenting them. There are only a series of children with special skills and talents who can sense them and fight them, those who lose their ability as soon as they become adults.
what now?
All it takes is a few big cases.
Solve this. We'll be the most famous age.
Each of these children has unique skills and each of them is used in a specific part of the fight. These children must work under the supervision of adults and cannot go on a mission without a supervisor. This is why their organization is run by adults and Lockwood & Partners is considered illegal. In its story, this series combines frightening, supernatural, detective, magical and mental elements, etc. to create a very attractive and different story, that too despite a series of young and teenage characters.
It's in the country.
I'm working with maniacs.
There is still no news about the renewal for the second season. It is true that this series is one of the prominent new series of the Netflix streaming service, and it is expected that we will see its second season, but there are many factors that determine the fate of a work. Things like ratings, number of viewers and production cost etc. According to these factors, it does not seem that this series will be renewed for a second season, especially considering the performance compared to other similar works and the sharp decrease in the number of viewers in the second and third weeks of broadcasting.
You're caught in the cogs, slaves to a system.
We're dealing with real-life criminals.
In general, the statistics show that Netflix has not been very successful in showing teenagers in its series. Last year, there were many series centered on teenagers that were cancelled and their broadcasting was stopped. But we still hope that this will happen and we will see these three characters again. Now, as always, if you are a fan of this genre and are very interested in supernatural, scary, detective stories and teenage adventures, don't miss the three other series that we want to introduce to you.
I'd like to start running now! Every ghost in London is out to kill us.